Welcome to the 10 worst U.S. tornado outbreaks. It can be tough to compare tornado outbreaks. Do you compare the size, speed, fatalities, and injuries, or do you compare based on property damage? There is no true comparison that you can come up with to satisfy all of those categories. But we gathered a pretty solid list of the 10 worst tornado outbreaks, as compiled by severe weather experts. Let's get into it. Number 10 is Athy, Oklahoma on May 24 to 26, 2011 and Paris, Texas on April 2 and 3, 1982. Both with the F5 rated tornadoes. A tornado moves north in Canadian County after having just crossed State Highway 3, the Northwest Expressway, towards Piedmont, Oklahoma on May 24, 2011. Important facts. May 24 to 26, 2011. 186 tornadoes, 4 of which were violent. An F5 tornado tore a 75-mile path across central Oklahoma on May 24, 2011. 18 fatalities on May 24, 2011 in Oklahoma, Kansas and Arkansas. APR, 2nd and 3rd, 1,982, 56 tornadoes, 30 killed and 3, wrapping up a stunningly deadly April and May in 2011 was one final outbreak that, while heading the Southern Plains hardest, stretched into the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley and Northeast. The signature tornado from this outbreak was a massive F5 wedge tornado that tore through areas to the west, northwest and north of Oklahoma City on May 24. The F5 rating was assigned based on measurements from a University of Oklahoma mobile Doppler radar. This F5 tornado claimed 7 lives in central Oklahoma, while injuring 112. Additional killer tornadoes touched down in Logan, Grady and other major counties. Other killer tornadoes in this outbreak spun through Stafford County, Kansas, as well as Franklin and Johnson counties, Arkansas. The April 1982 tornado outbreak affected areas from North Texas to Illinois, but, as most outbreaks, was marked by several deadly and destructive tornadoes. An F4 tornado leveled Paris, Texas, killing 10 and injuring 170, reaching a width of up to 1.5 miles wide. An F5 tornado carved out a 53-mile-long path through McCurtain and Choctaw counties in southeast Oklahoma. This was the first F5 in the United States in almost 5 years, since the Birmingham, Ala, April 4, 1977 tornado. Another F4 tornado carved a path in southwest Arkansas south of DeQueen and Nashville, ending near Blevins, claiming 3 lives. Our next outbreak corresponded to a fairly important election day. Number 8. Super Tuesday outbreak February 5 to 6, 2008. Atkins, Arkansas. Michelle Boatwright inspects the damage to a pickup truck the morning after a tornado ripped through the town February 6, 2008 in Atkins, Arkansas. Important facts. Record February U.S. tornado outbreak, 86 tornadoes, 10 states affected. Deadliest U.S. tornado outbreak since May 31, 1985 with 57 people killed. Total damage, over $1 billion. February isn't a typically active severe weather month. Typically, cold air dominates the eastern 2/3 of the nation, squashing the tornado threat in the deep south. Some Februaries only manage around a dozen tornadoes for the entire month, when cold air is particularly dominant in the east. But that's just an average. A sharp dip in the jet stream slid into the Plain States on Super Tuesday. Ahead of this powerhouse so-called trough, temperatures warmed into the 70s and even low 80s in the lower Mississippi and Tennessee valleys, accompanied by an almost muggy air mass, certainly by early February standards. What followed was the largest U.S. February tornado outbreak on record. 5 tornadoes were rated EF4. One of these tracked an astonishing 122 miles across Arkansas, the longest tornado path of record in that state. Another EF4 tornado hit Jackson, Tennessee, inflicting damage on every building at Union University. This was the third F4 EF4 tornado to hit the city in 10 years. Super Tuesday 2008 was the deadliest tornado outbreak in both Kentucky with 7 people killed and, in Tennessee there were 31 people killed. Next, we visit an infamous tornado as part of one tornado outbreak. Number 6. Another tie with Joplin, Missouri in 2011 and Union City, Oklahoma in 1973. Important facts. May 22, 2011, 48 tornadoes, including a Joplin-rated EF5 tornado. Joplin, Mo, was deadliest U.S. tornado since 1947 with 161 deaths. Estimated damage in Joplin, $2.8 billion as costliest single tornado in U.S. May 26 to 29, 1973 outbreak, 99 tornadoes, 22 deaths. The day's first killer tornado on May 22, 2011 was not in Joplin, Missouri. An F1 tornado tore through the west and north sides of the Minneapolis metro that afternoon. 1 person was killed along the tornado's 6-mile path through North Minneapolis, St. Louis Park, Golden Valley, Fridley, Mounds View and Blaine. Then all hell broke loose much farther south. A mile-wide EF5 tornado with peak winds estimated over 200 miles per hour damaged 75% of the city of Joplin, Missouri, rendering neighborhoods unrecognizable and severely damaging both St. John's Hospital and Joplin High School. Joplin and Minneapolis were just two of 48 tornadoes which touched down in the Midwest on May 22, 2011. The Union City, Oklahoma tornado on May 24, 1973. The late May 1973 outbreak is not as well known for its total impact. Despite its statistics of 99 tornadoes, 22 people killed stemming from 8 killer tornadoes. On May 24, 1973, a tornado steamed through the town of Union City, Oklahoma. For the first time, researchers from the National Severe Storms Laboratory in Norman, Oklahoma were able to position storm chasers for an intercept of this destructive tornado, documenting the entire life cycle of this storm. This is something we may take for granted today in an era of streaming video, social media and cable storm chase shows. The NSSL research meteorologists later found rotation aloft before the tornado touched down, establishing a bedrock nowcasting technique still used today in most tornadic supercells. Speaking of Oklahoma, our number 5 worst tornado outbreak hammered the Sooner State almost 26 years later. Number 5. Oklahoma City Metro, Moore, Oklahoma on May 3, 1999. Important facts. Record Oklahoma tornado outbreak with 61 tornadoes. 55 people were killed with a total property damage of an estimated $1.6 billion. May is a notoriously dangerous month for tornadoes in the U.S., in large part because it is typically the most tornadic month in the Plains states. The first full week in May 1999 lived up to that reputation. While supercell thunderstorms spawned tornadoes in 8 states, including NF for striking the south side of Wichita, Kansas claiming 6 lives. It was a monster F5 tornado that stole most of the headlines. A tornado just northeast of Chickasha, Oklahoma quickly strengthened and grew into a violent tornado as it carved a swath through Bridge Creek and more. This was the first F5 tornado on record to hit the Oklahoma City metro. The Doppler on Wheels research radar measured a wind speed of 301 miles per hour about 100 feet above the ground in that mammoth tornado. This single tornado was responsible for $1 billion in damage and 36 fatalities. 3 were killed seeking shelter under or near highway overpasses. Over 2,300 homes were destroyed and over 7,500 were damaged in the Sooner State alone. Next, you may not think one of our worst tornado outbreaks has occurred in November. Number 4. Houston to Carolinas outbreak from November 21 to 23, 1992. Important facts. Record November tornado outbreak at the time with 105 tornadoes in 13 states. 26 people were killed with nearly 650 injured. Total damage was more than $713 million. Total tornado's path length was a staggering 12.27 miles long. It started the Saturday before Thanksgiving 1992 in Houston. An incredible 7 tornadoes were spawned in just 2 hours' time in the metro area, with 3 twisters on the ground at one particular time in Harris County. The strongest tornado, rated F4, destroyed over 200 homes on Houston's east side. Since 1950, this is the strongest tornado to hit the Houston metro. Another F4 tornado went on a 128-mile-long rampage through Mississippi overnight Saturday night into Sunday morning, November 22nd, claiming 12 lives and damaging or destroying more than 700 homes. 15 total tornadoes touched down in Indiana that Sunday, the largest November outbreak in state records. 1 tornado was an F4 in southeast Indiana and northern Kentucky. Not to be left out, other F4 tornadoes carved a swath through the far northwest suburbs of Atlanta, and also struck near White Plains and Lake Oconee, Georgia. Finally, a pair of F3 tornadoes in North Carolina killed 2 and injured 59. From an outbreak near Thanksgiving, we next detailed one the week before Easter. Number 3. Palm Sunday outbreak, April 11th and 12th, 1965. This double tornado destroyed the Midway Trailer Park on U.S. Route 33 in Dunlap, Indiana, on April 11, 1965. Important facts. There were 52 tornadoes that covered 7 states, but of those 52, 22 were violent tornadoes rated F4 to F5. There were 260 people killed and 3,442 people injured. Total damage was an estimated $1.19 billion. Total tornado's path length covered 1043 miles. When it gets warm and humid in the Great Lakes in early April, there is usually a potential price to be paid. Unfortunately, that bill comes due via severe weather, and Palm Sunday 1965 was no exception. This is a clear-cut case that it's not necessarily the number of total tornadoes that captures the full impact. There were only 52 total tornadoes in this event. Many other outbreaks have had more. Of all the outbreaks that were examined, this Palm Sunday outbreak had the highest percentage of violent F4 and F5 tornadoes. An incredible 22 F4 F5 tornadoes were documented. The only F5 was a devastating double tornado. Normalized for inflation, this outbreak is number 1 in total damage dollar amount cost of any outbreak in this list. We've now come to our top 2 worst outbreaks, or super outbreaks. Number 2, April 26 to 28, 2011 super outbreak. Important facts. Unbelievable 349 tornadoes devastating 21 states that included 15 violent tornadoes. 4 of these monster storms were rated as EF5 tornadoes. 321 were killed with 2,775 people suffering injuries. The total damages were calculated at $11 billion. Total tornadoes path length covered more than 3,200 miles, which is the greatest coverage of any outbreak. Capping off an awful April for tornadoes, the massive multi-day tornado outbreak swarmed from Texas to the East Coast in late April 2011. Hardest hit was the Deep South, particularly Alabama, Mississippi, Northwest Georgia, Tennessee, and yet for tornado ravaged both the Tuscaloosa and West Birmingham metro areas. The parent supercell spawning the Tuscaloosa, Birmingham tornado tracked 380 miles in just under 7.5 hours from eastern Mississippi to western North Carolina. EF5 tornadoes struck Smithville, Mississippi, Philadelphia, Mississippi, Hackleburg, Alabama, Phil Campbell, Alabama, and DeKalb County, Alabama. April 27, 2011 was the first day on record in the state of Mississippi with a pair of EF5 tornadoes on the same day. The entire landscape was decimated in Neshoba County, Mississippi by one of the EF5 tornadoes. Appliances and plumbing fixtures in the most extreme damaged swath of the Smithville, Mississippi EF5 tornado were shredded or missing. The Hackleburg Phil Campbell EF5 tornado stayed on the ground for 132 miles, reaching a peak width of 1.25 miles, sucking up a 25-foot section of pavement and scattering it over 1/3 mile away in a home. Other hard-hit cities included Cullman, Alabama, Ringgold, Georgia, Cleveland, Tennessee, Chile, Virginia, and Base, Virginia. Of the combined fatalities, 240 of those occurred in Alabama alone. A study by the Centers for Disease Control and the Red Cross found that the violent tornadoes rated EF4 or EF5 were responsible for 89.5% of the deaths in this outbreak. The outbreak was Alabama's costliest disaster on record. Only one other outbreak ranked worse than the signature outbreak from spring 2011. Number 1. April 3rd and 4th, 1974 Superoutbreak. Important facts. 148 tornadoes covering 13 states and Canada. 30 violent tornadoes, including 6 rated as EF5. A total of 307 people were killed with another 5,454 injured. Total monetary damage was estimated to be north of $1.5 billion. Total tornadoes path length was calculated to be 2,521 miles. April 3rd to 4th, 1974 Superoutbreak tornado tracks. There are several aspects of this superoutbreak that clearly set it apart. There were 30 violent tornadoes of F4 or F5 in 24 hours. In some years, you may go several years without a single EF5 tornado. In the superoutbreak, there were 6 F5 tornadoes in just 24 hours. 48 tornadoes were deemed killers. This tops the April 2011 superoutbreak. This outbreak also occurred prior to Doppler radar networks, the internet, social media, and smartphones, so there were no means yet available for people to upload videos or photos instantly. Rarely today does a U.S. tornado go undetected, thanks not only to modern technology, but also improved public awareness, spotter programs, and verification efforts from the National Weather Service. This adds an inflation factor to tornado counts over the past couple of decades. This makes the 1974 superoutbreak's tornado count all the more impressive. Among the hardest hit cities were Xenia, Ohio, with 34 people killed, $100 million in damage from Monticello, Indiana. A touchdown path of more than 109 miles is the longest track of 1974 superoutbreak. Brandenburg, Kentucky had 28 people killed by an F5 tornado that tore though. Ginn, Alabama had the entire town leveled by an F5 tornado moving at forward speed of 75 miles an hour. Incredibly, 16 tornadoes were on the ground at one time in the state of Indiana alone on April 3, 1974. Certainly there are so many tornadoes that deserve to be on this list. We will continue to provide more amazing videos that compile severe weather storms and might even update this one down the line. Hit the like button and subscribe to stay up to date.